Alright, should be going live in a moment here. How's everyone doing today? Thanks for tuning into the game plan. Kind of a difficult time in sports where they're talking about, what's going to happen with all this coronavirus stuff, and hopefully they continue to play the sports, so we at least have some DFS to play. I think tonight's slate is going to be really tough to build lineups right now because we just don't know who's going to play really. So it's hard to pick out the best plays at this point. But it'll be interesting today to kind of talk about some of the considerations for what will happen if certain guys are in, if they're out. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the chat here. So let me jump into it. So let me pull up the slate here. Alright. Sorry about this, I should have had this up already. But some big news is already hit today. We got that Porzingis is out. That's going to make Luka Doncic look pretty good. And then as far as the starting center, I have to imagine, given that Jokic has some outside game, they're going to lean more towards Maxi Kleber in that matchup than Willie Cauley-Stein, who is back from whatever he was out for. So that is likely to be the center rotation. Not expecting any Boban tonight. Then you got maybe Justin Jackson picking up some extra minutes. Seth Curry is still out, so we're probably going to get Courtney Lee starting. But it is a back-to-back, so maybe it'll be Berea. Actually, that just kind of crossed my mind. Because we have seen them start different lineups based on the back-to-backs. In that case, Brea could be kind of interesting, but it's hard to really count on that. Let's see. Let's see what the rotation looked like last night. Looks like Brea didn't play. Courtney Lee played 22 minutes. So this could be a possible situation where we either plan to late swap or maybe even on FanDuel. Think about. Actually, now I'm looking at it. Looks like Courtney Lee. They had rested JJ Barea in back-to-backs, but it doesn't appear like they're doing that for Courtney Lee. So it was worth kind of looking at, but he's already played 2 back-to-backs here. So probably just sticking to Luka here and Kleber. Dorian Finney-Smith got a big price jump today. That makes him a little bit less exciting. Tim Hardaway is really expensive. They kind of priced him as if Luka might sit. Got a question from Boston, 504. Can you play Holmes and Bielitsa together? So I think that you can, just because. Alright, so the biggest threat to Bielitsa's minutes is if they go with Bazemore or Buddy Hield over him in the final closing lineup. And he had gotten more minutes previously because he would sometimes beat the closing center. That's less likely to happen now. So I think that Bielitsa, if you just give him 25 minutes, which is probably what he may average, he looks like a fine play. But it is possible that if he's playing well, he'll close over Hield and Bazemore. And one positive factor in his favor is that Zion Williamson is pretty large for a 4. So that makes it so sticking Harrison Barnes on him may be something they want to avoid, which could lead to more Bielitsa. So I think the matchup works in his favor a little bit, but it'll be hard to predict who will close that game. Alright. Pistons, we got some of the biggest news of the night. Um, we have. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank on his name. This is kind of embarrassing, but they're starting center recently. I'm pulling up my spreadsheet. John Henson, duh. Okay, so John Henson's out, and before he was on the team, we saw Thon McCour start. There really isn't a lot of front court depth here, so let me go back to some of these games that he started pre-Henson. So that would be kind of pre-All-Star break here, 2-8 through 220. Then he kind of got phased out. So let's see what was going on here. I will mention they have Donta Hall on the team. He's kind of their G League center. 6'9", 232, so he's a little bit small. But let me see if there's any news on him being up or up in NBA or down in the G League. I think that he has a 10. Oh, he got recalled from the G League here, so important to factor him in when we're thinking about the Pistons. Because let's be honest, Thon McCour is probably not much better than a G League player. Alright, so going back here, that game John Henson did play. This game he played. Alright, let's go back one more. John Henson actually did play in that game. So, I guess this trade deadline, I was really bad at remembering when that was, but they moved it up a lot so that there were no more mid-All-Star break trades, I guess. Alright, so I finally found it. So Lewis King had been their kind of G League 4, Thon McCour and Christian Wood. It looks like they wanted at least one of the two guys to be on the floor at any point during this game. Steven Adams and Noel were the opposing centers. So pretty traditional centers in this game. We could have Embiid or Horford. Embiid would make, well, I guess Thon McCour is kind of there. He plays a deep game here, so more used to guarding the 3-point line. They did run him at a power forward for a long time. Okay, so in this game, looks like that was before the Drummond trade. So not a lot of data points to go off of with Thon McCour, but I feel pretty confident he'll start. Christian Wood hasn't really gotten the starts at the center. So, with all this in mind, I think that he could be good value because, wow, #1 most popular player in the slate. So, probably a good chalk at 3,100 because he does put up fantasy points and they don't really have any great rebounders on this team, which is a benefit for him. Plus, Donta Hall. It's questionable how much he's going to play. I mean, worst case scenario is, so let's see, Sekou Doumbouya, they want to play him like 20 minutes, like he's been playing recently. So it puts Christian Wood at the 4 for 20. Let's see. He's playing about 35 minutes, so 35, and then they overlap for maybe like 8 minutes. So that'll be 27 minutes at the 4, 8 at the 5. We put 24 on Maker, and so that's 31, 17 for Hall. So even in like worst case scenarios, Thon McCour is going to get a good amount of minutes. Probably not worth harping on this much, but let's keep it rolling here. Let me pull back up the YouTube chat so I can answer all your questions. In Philadelphia, Joel Embiid is questionable. Josh Richardson is back. So now that Josh Richardson is back, that means that Thibault will probably play off the bench. Richardson, decent play, but if Embiid plays, pretty much everyone on this team is going to be a little bit overpriced. The guys that definitely avoid would be Mike Scott, Korkmaz, Robinson, Thibault, just because I think their minutes are going to go way down with Richardson and Embiid back. On the Knicks, we saw last night the second unit outperformed the first unit by a lot. And that was a pretty concerning development. So it's hard to feel real confident in the Knicks starting squad. There is some correlation, I guess you could say, between like Payton and Randall, for example, and Barrett, and then Robinson, Portis, Frank. So you could like start a stack kind of like that, but that might be trying a little bit too hard and too cute. Payton was in huge foul trouble last night. Maybe that scares people off in this game versus Hawks. Should be much more fantasy friendly. So if these guys were contrarian, I mean, it would be like a great spot, but it looks like they're pretty popular. Payton's numbers have been really good though since all the trades and stuff. So I think that he makes a nice play. So I guess, I mean, with the new coach and everything. On the Atlanta side, not pretty much a net neutral matchup, I'd say. Trae Young, we should have money to pay for if some of these injuries come through. And he makes a good play, but not a great one. Dedmon played a lot more than expected. About 27 minutes, I believe. And they definitely could run him out there the same amount. I don't think Taj Gibson will get him in foul trouble, so you could play him as a contrarian play. As 64th most popular player in the slate, that could work. On Charlotte, these guys all got like a big price bump somehow, and the Heat are a tough matchup. So like going to Bridges and PJ Washington, who really disappointed in the last game. They got outplayed by Cody Martin. Zeller got outplayed by Biyombo, but I feel confident that whoever is playing the best on this team will get the minutes. And Miles Bridges and PJ Washington are pretty good fantasy producers, so worth the risk. On the Heat side, it's all going to depend on Jimmy Butler's availability. Not the greatest matchup in the world, and that's why their team total is 110. But I think that also Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero are questionable. So it's going to be hard to break this down, but if Butler is out, that'd be a benefit to Kendrick Nunn and Goran Dragic, although Tyler Hero being back could negatively impact Nunn as well. If Nunn's out, I'm trying to think what the starting lineup would look like. Seems unlikely that we would get Dragic as a starter. But let me see if Nunn has missed any games yet. Oops. Alright, so 128 was their starting lineup there. Yeah, Tyler Hero slid in the starting lineup. And then let's see, probably was Hero. So, supposing that Hero is out, that means maybe we would see. Yeah, it's hard to predict who would be in the starting lineup. I guess it would be Dragic or Iguodala maybe. But Dragic would be a good play. if not, yeah, okay. Butler being out. In general, it seems to have a minimal effect on Bam, although maybe a few more assists, so I think he could be a little bit overowned if Butler is out. Denver, the whole gang's back, so it makes it hard to really love anyone. Wow, Denver, or is a dog here? Did I type that in right? That's kind of intriguing. No, Luka's good, but I don't know he's that good. Alright. So, all C and D values on Denver, that makes them hard to love in fantasy, but Jokic could be a salary dump. Dallas, Luka and Kleba should get the biggest bumps with no Porzingis. Dorian Finney-Smith and Hardaway, pretty secure minutes. Then if Lee starts, I guess that's what we should expect. Makes it hard to go to anyone else. Utah, Rudy Gobert is questionable. He didn't participate in shoot-arounds, so that makes me think there's a pretty good chance that he does not play. But he hasn't been ruled out yet. So let me go back and see what they did when he was out before. It looks like Tony Bradley started. In this game, he got 5 fouls. And surprisingly, they didn't. I guess they had Jeff Green back him up, who obviously no longer on the team. And then this game, Tony Bradley started, got 5 fouls. Jeff Green backed him up. So I'm kind of curious, like, I know they have this guy Juwan Morgan, who's one of the guys that got some run. Wow, there's nothing on him. Let me make sure I spelled his name right. There's only one N. Okay. So him and Ed Davis are the backup 5s. Neither have been playing. This is really irritating that this guy's screen name is taking up every single thing. So I think either Morgan or Ed Davis backs up Tony Bradley. Ed Davis is much larger than John Morgan, so I think it'd be him, but that could be a potential edge if you have some read there who the backup is, because Tony Bradley fouls a lot, and if he starts, that will make it a pretty decent spot for whoever is backing him up. But Tony Bradley was a first round pick, so he's kind of their go-to guy here. He fouls 7 times per 36 minutes, so obviously, like, it's gonna be hard for him to get to the 30s. It's a little bit less than Naz Reid. Naz Reid has averaged about 25 minutes as a starter. So if we put maybe 26 or 27 for Bradley, that could be reasonable. So I'm definitely be working him into my plans for tonight. On Oklahoma City, Shea is back. Gallinari seems to always be underpriced, so he's an option. Shea, 6,300 is a little bit cheap for him, so in a tough matchup, you can go to those guys a little bit. It's another one where I feel like Thunder are getting. I must have typed in my line wrong here because it has Utah as the favorite when Oklahoma City is currently the favorite, so my bad about that. I think I looked up the lines on 2 different pages and they're in different orders, so I kind of messed that up. Alright. Oh, Denver is the favorite versus Dallas too. I just had the cells flipped. Okay. So, Good thing I'm looking through this, so I catch mistakes like that. Nicholas says, do you think they play Royce O'Neal more if Gobert's out? I don't really think so. I think that the centers, you get 48 minutes pretty much from, 48 minutes from Bradley plus Davis plus Morgan. That'd be my best guess. It just allows them to maintain their game plan, and that's going to be easier than trying to get other guys to try to play a role they don't know, the schemes and stuff. Alright, New Orleans. Kings are about average matchup, I'd say. Maybe a little bit below average, so that makes it hard to really love the Pelicans here. Melly, maybe an option for value if none of these guys end up being out. De'Aaron Fox, number 2 most popular player tonight. That's a little bit hard for me to understand, although, I mean, it is a great matchup. Buddy Hield, number 5. Bogdan, number 3. What the heck is going on here? Like, why? Let me go to the last game, because maybe there's something I missed. Buddy Hield played 24 minutes. Okay, so this number, is there like some injury here that I'm missing or something? Like, this is peculiar. So maybe if anyone has some insight here, I'm kind of curious why these guys are so popular today. I guess maybe it's just because it's hard to build a lineup because there isn't a ton of value right now. So maybe I'll start off with Thon McCour. I feel like he's a pretty good play. Brandon Knight, I'll be very interested in if Bruce Brown sits. If Bruce Brown's in, I probably won't play him much. But we saw they'll run Knight out a lot, although last game he got rested. Elf Payton, I feel like a lot of people may be scared to click the button, but he should be fresh after playing like 15 minutes last night, I suppose. Nicholas says it's the best game on the slate, and the Kings are cheap. That makes sense. Alright. I like Miles Bridges as kind of a contrarian play. Luka, I definitely want to work him in there. Tony Bradley is definitely someone I'll pencil in, given that Gobert missed shoot around. And, I mean, that's going to be one where you want to make sure that you don't stack these earlier games. But, we should have that news in time to make intelligent swaps. Alright, shooting guard. I don't mind either of these guys, but I need to spend some more money because I have 7K left per player, and that is quite a bit. So maybe I will go with Hield or Bogdan. Hield's probably the higher upside guy. There's a lot of randomness in his outcomes. It's because if he's on fire off the bench, he will get a lot of extra minutes. Alright, 7,800 left per player. Fox kind of fits that. A little bit overpriced. Randall. I think there was some correlation between Payton and Randall here. And I think that the prices are good, the matchup's good. So, don't mind putting them in the same lineup. 7,900 left. Pretty much can go for whoever the most expensive guys. Lonzo Ball, 8K is a lot. So let me try a few different guys. De'Aaron Fox, good value, but then my contrarian ranking is too low. Lonzo Ball. It looks like I went a little bit too chalky in general. Although this does skew a little bit because I have Lonzo or Luka in my lineup here. So there is a little issue that I'm trying to fix with this ranking system. But maybe Jokic is the contrarian spend up here. So if I take him out, Luka I don't think is a mandatory play tonight, I'll mention. And then maybe if instead of Randall, I go with someone like Ingram, who's a great player but lower owned. This 9K range might be a dead range though. So I need to continue to tweak this. So maybe Harris, 58th most popular player. Don't love him with Embiid back though. Trae Young, I guess, is the contrarian option to Luka. 6,600 left. Shea fits that. So I'll put Shea in. Seems like I didn't make my lineup any more contrarian here, so maybe I have to go for more of contrarian spin up. Let me just put these guys in. Let's see. So that just killed my. Okay, so the way this works is that if there's salary left over, it hits me on the value ranking. Our D's nut says, what percentages are you looking to get to for value and contrarian percent on FanDuel? Same as DraftKings. So what I'm trying to do is have a total of more than 100. Usually skewing more towards value than contrarian, because the best lineups in NBA DFS tend to be a little bit chalky. Alright. John Collins, kind of untenable spin up there. Tristan Wood. Maybe I'll just take Buddy Hield out and that'll completely transform my lineup here. RJ Barrett, more contrarian option there. Then I'll go with Luka. See if I can find a $5,900 guy. Gallinari. It's a little bit chalky. Bojan, just not good enough of a play. Buddy Hield, too chalky. So this is quite challenging to build a lineup today. It is partially because some of the injury news left to come. It does kind of make it so this is accounting for some of those injuries, stuff that we don't know about. Alright, so now I actually have a workable lineup. If I swap out Miles Bridges for Will Barton, that just didn't help my projection. Alright, Shea, man, still too chalky. So this is quite a challenge. Okay. So let me take out Cleaver, and I'll put in someone a little bit more expensive. Okay, so this lineup, found I got above 100%, so this total is to 110. At least that's a little bit better. Okay, check the chat here. Alright, FanDuel. This one becomes a lot trickier to build with the injury information, so I'm going to just suppose that we don't know before lock if Gobert is playing. Alright. Bielisa, A value, 7th most popular power forward. It's kind of interesting. Don McClure, center, 4K. That really is good on FanDuel. Kristen Wood, 7,900. That's pretty good. Tobias, nice price. Herder, A value. Robinson, number one most popular center. That is pretty concerning. I can't really endorse that. Alright. Alf Payton. Again, kind of good price. Going overlooked today. Luka, number one most popular point guard. It is hard to spend salary on FanDuel, so maybe I'll go with him. Then I need to find a contrarian guy that I kind of like. It's interesting how these Kings are so much less popular on FanDuel. Zion at 7,300, that's a good price, but he's super popular today. Looks like every expensive player is pretty much the most popular at their position. So that creates an interesting problem. It does look very hard to spend the salary today, so it makes sense. Maybe I go with Collins. Kind of overpriced, but at least he's the sixth most popular player at the position. Pair him with Randall, that's just a good value. I'd have to go contrarian with both guys at the same position on FanDuel. Butler, really good price. If I knew he was playing, I'd put him in here. Let's see. Donovan Mitchell, not my favorite player, but fourth most popular at the position. B value. It's a little bit of an ownership advantage there. Now I need to get the value plays in. I got a good question from Brendan. What is the order of importance for GPP lineups? Ceiling score, median score, and ownership. So ceiling and median score both fall into the projection category. So ownership is its own category when I do things. So it's I'm trying to reconcile the projection and ownership. So ceiling and median projected score, maybe just work both into one metric, and that could be a good strategy. Alright. So the ceiling score helps you avoid lineups with too many players that are just bench guys that have low ownership that have a decent median projection. For example, let's say Jordan McRae. He's 3,700, so he's a really good value on FanDuel, but because he's coming off the bench, this might not be the best example because he actually does have a good fantasy scoring upside. But most nights he's going to be limited in minutes, which kind of stunts his upside. A better value guy to go to would be one Tony Bradley, where this is hard because it's not equal comparison, but a guy like Tony Bradley who fouls a lot, or Nerlens Noel is a better example. So Nerlens Noel he doesn't get the minutes, but he produces. Wait, no, I'm confusing myself. But in general, one pitfall is there are a lot of 1% owned players that don't have a good ceiling projection, but they have decent median projections, and that can lead to a suboptimal lineup if you have too many of those guys. So, although a lineup with a couple of those bench guys that project well and are cheap might look good, it does hurt your ceiling projection for your team. So I hope that at least gave a little bit of insight. It's kind of complicated to talk in generalities about. Alright, so let me finish this lineup. Still having a lot of trouble figuring out who to pick here. So I needed some cheap guys. If I'm supposing we don't know what's going on with Gobert, I like playing Tony Bradley at lock, because a lot of people tend to lean towards questionable players playing. Since Gobert missed shoot around, I think there's a better chance he doesn't play, and that helps a little bit. Alright. I'll just assume Jimmy Butler is playing for the purposes of this lineup. Oops, but he's a little bit too expensive. So maybe Miles Bridges, though on FanDuel he's a little bit worse of a play. Alright, I'll put in Herter. I'm just trying to figure out a combination of players that will complete this lineup. So I actually ended up doing a little bit better on my FanDuel lineup here. So, alright guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope this gave you guys some insight. Hopefully we get some injury news to help clarify everything before lock. And good luck tonight. Make sure to check out the deeper dive at 4 and live before lock after that. So catch you guys all tomorrow.